Hello, everyone. I am Dogon, the Vulgar Guardian, and I go over Destiny 2 content and movie reviews. Today, the show we are going to be reviewing is She-Hulk. Yay! Anyway, I'll try and make this as short and sweet as possible. This show, oh my gosh, isn't anything near sweet. But anyway, let's get right into this. The show basically starts off with Jennifer Walters, I believe her name is. But it shows her in her office practicing her closing argument with two people. One of them, her best friend, who seems to worship her, or is the yes woman, I guess, in her life. And then the other person, a bad white man, who as soon as she starts her argument, he says, "Smile more," for fuck's sake. When she finishes it, they basically, push him out. Her best friend says, "Hey, you got this." And, just in case things aren't going the right way, you could just Hulk out. They then begin to walk out of the office, but Jennifer turns around to break the fourth wall. She-Hulk does break the fourth wall in her comics, but it doesn't really make much sense in the show. I don't know if they'll explain it. It doesn't seem like they will. But she turns around, breaks the fourth wall to begin to show us her origin. And it shows, I guess a few weeks later, she's in a car with Bruce, and they're driving while talking about how she is a genius for eating Cheetos with chopsticks, so you don't get Cheeto dust on your fingers. Bruce says she's a genius, and then they begin to argue about whether Captain America was a virgin. For some reason, who cares? She begins to shame him for it and say, "Oh man, that ass was so great," or something like that. But then, out of nowhere, a spaceship flies in front of them, hovers right in front of them while they're driving. And Jennifer, who isn't looking at the road this entire time, swerves so hard, they fly off of the cliff, which ends up totaling the car, and with them ending up both unconscious. But she wakes up before Bruce, who is the Hulk and has went through a lot of things. Also forgot to mention, Bruce has on this a doodad on his arm, which prevents him from turning into the Hulk. Why would he do that when he has the best qualities of the Hulk and Bruce Banner joined together now, super healing and all that? But no, just go back to being a regular human where bullets could stop you. I don't know if he can turn it on or off, the thing on his arm, but anyway, he's knocked out. She gets up, rips off a car door, mind you, and pulls Bruce out. From my experience, car doors are pretty hard to open. I'm pretty sure they're even harder to open after a car crash and it's jammed into the door frame, so you're not able to just pry that thing off. Firefighters and law enforcement that have to get people out of crash wrecks have to get these heavy duty priors just to get them open. But she rips it off, no problem, pulls Bruce out, and they're both bleeding from the accident. Bruce tries to tell her to get away from him so he doesn't bleed on her, but it's too late at this point. Legit 3-4 drops of blood gets on her cut, and she transforms so fast. I shit you not, she transforms under 2 to 3 seconds and runs off into the woods, leaving Bruce there, who is transforming into the Hulk at this point. He should have been in Hulk form, period. I don't know why you would go back to human form. But anyway, she runs off into the woods and leaves Bruce there to transform on his own. And she passes out. She then wakes up, and it's nighttime now, and she continues to walk till she gets to this bar. Sounds like the beginning of a bad joke. Hell, I think I can make better jokes than the writers of this fucking show. Anyway, she gets to a bar and goes to the bathroom. She begins to try and clean herself off. But then all of a sudden these, I guess a few of them are women. They come in and say, "OMG, who did this to you? Whoever it was, him or her or they, don't deserve you." Anyway, they begin to, instead of, seeking medical attention, calling the police or anything, because she looks like she's been assaulted or in a car accident, but instead, of doing, things that normal people would do, they put makeup over her and dress her up like a certain let's say night worker that you could find on the street in certain areas. And they send her on her way outside of the bar where she stands looking like certain night worker, and is then approached by a group of guys who try to hit on her. Mind you, they only hit on her. They don't actually hit her, of course, but they're saying, hey, are you with anyone? She says, oh no, yes, I got a boyfriend. And it was like they basically trying to speak to her, and she says to them her cousin's on her way to pick her up, and they like, we're only trying to be friendly. And right after that, she turns around and gets ready to like hit them for just talking to her. She gets ready to turn around and hit them just for talking to her. But before she can, Bruce the Hulk, who is now in Hulk form, runs in and tackles her, and the screen goes to black. She then goes to find Bruce, who is now Professor Hulk. I'll be calling him Professor Hulk from now on. They call him Smart Hulk. No, I don't believe anyone says that. I'm gonna call him Professor Hulk, who is in his room, the basement that him and Tony built together apparently, and who is using her blood to heal his arm and figure out more about how Jennifer, whatever the fuck her name is, changed into the Hulk. He then tells her that he used her blood to heal her arm, and she basically says, so that means I'm better than you. I don't know how you got that sentiment, but whatever. Bruce then tells her something along the lines of, with great power comes great responsibility, and she basically starts panicking because she realizes that, she's losing her normal life. And he's like, okay, calm down. What's something I can do to help you out? And it then cuts to her eating pancakes. After this, he begins training her after he pushes the fact that you need to get this stuff under control. Because if you don't, people could die. People could get hurt just from you being like having normal anger. And she literally just, like says, oh, okay, fine. Which makes her seem very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Bitchy, I guess. I don't know. It seems very unlikable. Like, you have all this power and you're rubbing it off like that, knowing that you could hurt people very, very easily. I don't know. It just makes her come off very unlikable. So they begin her training, and she flies through it all with ease. And for some reason, they make Hulk seem jealous, I guess. She mocks him and makes fun of him while they're doing it as well. Like, they're throwing rocks. He throws one, tells her to do the next one. She throws it further than him. He gets a bit upset and throws a rock so hard it disintegrates. And when she did hers, she was jumping and haranguing and clapping and everything. When Hulk did his again and disintegrated the rock, she rolls her eyes and clap like she mocks him. She basically mocks him. And then when they're doing like the jumping test, they do a superhero land, and she starts doing like a gorilla pose and says man like 3 times. And it was just, at that point I cringed so hard I almost broke my back. They then go to sit, and Professor Hulk tries to tell her about her duty to help and protect with her powers. But she then begins to lecture him on how she had to hold back her anger infinitely more than him because she's a woman and had to deal with catcalling, incompetent men telling her how to do her job, and death. What the fuck? Death? Death. You're saying this to a man who had to spend most of his life, because of the Hulk, had to spend most of his life away from society to protect the people he loves, to make sure that he doesn't kill people because of him losing his anger and having another being take over his body because of that. You're saying you have to control your anger more than him. This guy lost another love in his life, who went into space to fight a purple alien and saw a bunch of people die, who brought back a bunch of people, and you telling me you have to deal with more than this guy. The complete audacity of this character is insane. She then says, you know what, I don't need any of this, and she then tries to leave. and the Hulk does try to stop her. She gets in his Jeep Wrangler and begins to try to drive off, but Hulk says, look, you can't go, we need to train and do this stuff. And I legit you not, she starts up the Jeep pushes into the Hulk, and like he flies back into a bunch of boulders. The boulders break and falls on top of him. This dude in the first Avengers movie took out like a whole Chitauri like legion with one punch. He like in the Avengers movie he took out that big slug thing with one punch. And you telling me a Jeep Wrangler knocks him this far into rocks? Oh my gosh, that doesn't make any sense. But okay, sure. They then end up getting in an argument and begin to fight, a fight that she wholeheartedly started, and they only stop after they break his bar. And while they're fixing it, he basically apologizes, says, okay, look, I'm okay with you going back to your normal life and becoming a lawyer. And she says, oh, thanks, or whatever, something like that. Looks at us and says, no, he isn't. And they couldn't even give him that. They couldn't even give him that. Like, come on. It then cuts to them in court, and she's about to begin her, I believe, prosecution, or her speech that she did at the beginning of the show. And it's then interrupted by a woman who bursts through the wall and I believe is looking for the person that they're prosecuting. She is then attacked by a bunch of officers who, instead of using the guns that are on their belts, they go to tackle her. I don't know about you, but if somebody who has superpowers bursts through a wall and is about to attack someone, the first thing I'm going for is the shooter. I'm pulling it out. I'm not going to tackle you or anything. I am using my firearm. But while these guys are getting slapped around in the background, our protagonist, Jennifer, I don't care. She's sitting behind the desk, and her best friend is like, "Hey, what are you doing? Hulk out!" And she's like, "Oh yeah, but oh, man, I really like this outfit." Are you serious right now? Are you serious right now? Oh my gosh. Anyway, she gives her shoes to her best friend, and she transforms. And the woman is like, the woman that was attacking the officers, they're all knocked out now, is like, "Who are you?" Who are you? You the one that just bars her to a courtroom. But anyway, she says, "Who are you?" And she's like, I'm Jennifer Walters, attorney at law. We're then shown one of the worst fight scenes. She does like a Power Ranger flying kick. You could tell they use wire work because it's that bad. And She-Hulk like hits her with one punch and she flies back. There's another part where she throws a desk out of nowhere. She-Hulk throws a desk, which came out of nowhere, I guess. Like it appears in her hand. She throws it. The lady falls back before it hits her. She then jumps up, does the terrible Power Ranger wire flying kick. Gets knocked out with one punch, and that's the fight, everyone. Yep, that's all she wrote. Everyone's clapping, cheering her, and then they're like, she transforms back into her normal human form, normal white woman, and then says, "All right, can we begin now?" And that's where the show ends. It is an end credit scene, but it's basically her and Hulk talking about Captain America's virginity again and wishing that his ass, that it was such a great ass and whatnot. And Hulk then tells her when he lost his virginity, and she was pretending to be drunk this whole time. But Hulk knows they can't get drunk. They stated it earlier in the episode because of their powers. They can't get drunk because of their powers. But he asks her if she's drunk, and she tricked him, I guess. The show basically ends with her saying, "Yeah, Captain America fucks," but it cuts off in the middle of her saying "fuck." And yeah, that was She-Hulk. This show is a complete joke. It utterly cucks the Hulk. This isn't the Hulk. Hulk is this big, powerful green monstrosity. This is just Mark Ruffalo in a cardigan painted green with a bit more muffled definition. Jennifer is a complete cunty bitch who is selfish and doesn't truly care about other people and hates men, apparently. The Hulk most of all. But that's been my She-Hulk review. I'm gonna do more of these. Sorry that I had to make this very quick. My editing stuff is shit, but I'm working on it. But anyway, if you like this, please leave a like and subscribe. If you didn't, dislike button is right there as well. And I wish you a good day, night, or what have you. Be safe out there, Guardians. Have a good one.